Hello. Um, I have bad news, which is that I just recorded, well, I thought I recorded about 15 or 20 minutes of this game, and then realized that I had actually activated the sticky keys at some point, which turned it off. Because I was pressing shift over and over again to like crouch and like teabag in front of Georgie, um, because I just wanted to because I hate him. So here's my most recent save, which we're not going to go to because that's not the one. Um, and so Lost in the Fire, like many other things, it wasn't lost because it didn't. I genuinely just talked to myself for 20 minutes, which is great. But now we're back at it. And now we're back at it, and now we have this conversation with Georgie to go through one more time. I might choose some answers that give shorter replies because I just read all of this literally 5 minutes ago.
Most men only die because they know not how to prevent dying.
Okay, that's a funny quote. Yeah, so that's where I'm at, mentally doing great. But yeah, anyways, this won't be in the original video. The original video I was talking about how the audio is hopefully better. And I also greeted Katie. Hello, Katie. Hopefully the audio will be better. We'll see what happens. This man is wrinkly. Okay. Which of the locals could help me? Whose words can be trusted? I don't know for how long you will have to remain here, Doctor. You are most welcome to be my guest, even though I won't try to keep you. While you are here, though, and especially since you are trying to find out the truth, it is my duty to offer you a piece of advice. I would be most grateful for it. This remote place has a history of its own. There is not enough time to retell it to you, which is unfortunate, since it is the background of the town that may possibly justify some of the local conventions that will most likely seem barbaric to an educated person like yourself. Not at all. There are 3 truths that rule this town, 3 origins, 3 ideas, if you like. For several generations, these 3 powers have been in conflict with each other. I expect none of them can exist without the other 2. Yet each of them still strives to dominate. Each of them has its own voice, too. Tell me more. These voices are the ruling families, the co-owners of the Bull Project, who have been ruling the town for almost 2 centuries. Each one of the truths they represent is screaming at the top of its lungs, and in doing travesties whatever value it carries. Such a weird sentence. I had trouble with that the first time anyways. This is too complicated. I don't see what this has to do with your brother's murder. The first voice is that he just completely ignores me, and continues his explanation. Sorry, I was trying to check to see if my headphones, it feels really quiet in one of them, but I think it's fine. Anyways, I'm gonna turn the sound up slightly. The first voice is the Sabarovs, the second is the Oglimskis, the third is us, the Canes. We are the 3 heads of one beast. Each of the clans will offer their own understanding of what is going on. Each of the 3 will use their own voice and the voices of their followers to lie and distort the truth. We cannot exist otherwise. However, in doing so, we will inadvertently reveal the entirety of the truth to anyone who would listen. So, I am surrounded by lies. How exciting! Truth is my only idol. It is only for the truth that I fight. So dramatic. Well, no one will dare lie to your face, even though he literally just told me that people will lie to my face. Like, literally right there. I have no doubts everyone will tell you the truth, but they will tell it in such a fashion that this truth will conceal the reality better than any deception would. The only thing I'm asking is that you don't jump to conclusions. Compare different versions. Your extraordinary intelligence will allow you to ascertain the truth. That inspires hope. Furthermore, each of us try to paint a rather ungainly picture of the other 2. Most likely we will fill you in on the negative sides of each other faction and withhold anything that is good about them. That is inevitable. None of us will stoop to outright slander, so everything that will be said will most likely be true, but this truth will be one-sided and incomplete. Listen carefully to what we say, and take it into account. Your words are a pleasant surprise, Judge. The stories of evil that the Canes have unleashed onto this world are partially true. Do not feel obliged to act in our favor. I won't. As you can see, I will stop before nothing to ensure an unbiased investigation. even though you are completely convinced that your brother was murdered with, like, not that much evidence. Anyways, the lack of prejudice I want to instill in you is the one and only reason why I'm making a confession like this. I do not want my brother to have died in vain. Here our desires concur, Judge.
The town will meet its death at the hand of Simon's murderer.
Okay.
That much is certain.
Um, for Isidore, quite a resolute and talented man, this Reuben is. I have great expectations of him. He will bring everything you need, and you will perform the body. You will examine the body together. So they have a custom of the Canes have a custom of waiting 24 hours. So instead of letting him tell you that, I'm just gonna say, all right, let me know when this Reuben arrives. I would expect him to join you in the evening, no earlier than 11 o'clock, I would say. Now, I've never gotten this dialogue, so I'm actually going to ask, why so late? I personally asked him to come no later than midnight. Don't let it worry you. It seems you are not in too much of a hurry to ascertain the details of your brother's death. On several occasions, excessive haste has led to undesirable consequences. The phenomenon that Isidore has invited you here to study, it is in our blood. The physiological trait of our family shows itself from time to time. That is quite intriguing. Okay, so I have gotten all of this dialogue. I'll wait, sure.
I'm deadly tired.
How many doctors are there in your town? If we exclude Isidore Birak, Stanislav Rubin is the only doctor here. He is the most competent of Isidore's apprentices. The rest are good for nothing, as far as I can tell. They're only capable of distorting the knowledge their teacher is trying to pass to them. Do you trust this Rubin? I would trust Rubin with my life. A competent medic of remarkable courage and laudable integrity. Everything he does is done with appropriate diligence and care. He doesn't like people that much, but he is eager to serve them. Why do you ask? I wonder.
I'm too old. Nothing can harm me anymore.
It's a reasonable thing to do. Moreover, that is what etiquette demands. After all, it was he that invited you here. However, I don't think he has informed anyone in the Crucible of these plans. The Crucible is where the Canes live. I hope you don't get me wrong. You are a guest, and we welcome you. Where does Isidore live? Somewhere in Earth. Earth is the name of the lowest part of the town, closest to the abattoir. I haven't been there for several years, and I don't really know these slums all too well, especially since they were rebuilt after the fire. Victor has visited Isidore from time to time, so speak with him. He's in the wing next door. But I
Perhaps Olgimsky is setting a trap for this newly arrived Haruspecs.
okay, wait. I was reading. The famous Dr. Dankovsky, your arrival is a great honor for us. Victor Kane at your service. I don't know if I can hold up that voice, but I'm gonna try. Daniil Dankovsky at yours. I foresee that the things that have become ordinary for us will probably make you feel uncomfortable and disturbed. I would like to compensate for that impression. You know, our small community has fallen out of the loop. Time leaves us behind. What do you mean? I mean the traditions. Games that we play with passion will likely be of no interest to you. The people you meet here may seem eccentric, naive, or even somewhat deranged. That's like people introducing me. Please, take it easy on us. Don't judge us too strictly. I will do my best not to disappoint you.
Who is it walking upstairs?
How can I help you? Georgie has told me everything, which is to say he told me very little, but it was enough to astound me. He maintains that you can provide a more detailed account. So you have agreed to help us? I have. May I ask why? The killer's goals seem to align astonishingly well with the goals of those who have been waging war against my work for years. I'm prepared to answer any questions you may have. When was Simon last seen? He sent Isidore home. Then, an hour later, he came to this hall to see us. He announced his plans to withdraw to the Focus and receive no one. He told us not to approach the Focus and to fast for a week, partaking of neither meat nor water. Then, in the morning, he was found dead. How was he found? The servants discovered him in the morning. The room had been ransacked. Everything that was breakable had been broken. His disfigured, contorted body bore signs of terrible suffering. His neck was twisted, his spine broken, I think. No one has touched the body. It is currently inside the Focus and will remain there for the prescribed amount of time. Do you suspect anyone? No. All I know is that Isidore was with him in the evening. No one can enter the Focus against Simon's will. Well, perhaps a higher being could, but no one else. Like an angel of death or something? Yes, something like that. I'm not sure if you're being sarcastic. If you are, then allow me to say I do not share your feelings. I apologize. And how did Simon get himself in there? I've never gotten that dialogue tree. That's kind of funny. I apologize. And how did Simon himself get in there? He could perform far more impressive feats. There's a reason why the whole town revered him. Tell me honestly, dear Victor, did Simon exist at all? Bravo, Doctor! There is indeed a spark of genius to you. Alas, yes. Yes, he did. Alas? It's not that I would benefit from his death. Alas, for that would be too simple an explanation. Simon well and truly did exist. That is exactly what's left everyone in disarray. It was so hard for them to accept his existence that the thought of his demise is now driving them mad. You are all his heirs. Wouldn't you all benefit from his death? Didn't the old man rather overstay his welcome in the world? His death is a challenge to our continued existence. We are neither insane nor suicidal. Who do you suspect? Just take a look around. Trust your intuition. Do whatever you like. Speak to whoever you feel the need to. Look for the murderer, Doctor, and you will find them. Keep looking to the last breath. I am sure your rational thinking will help you. So Isidore is the only lead. How can I find him? I'll show you, but you must be careful. Simon's murderer, whoever they are, could not be an ordinary person. I can't imagine them even being a person. I fear it could only be fate, wearing the guise of a mysterious monster. I will be careful.
Autumn is gloomy this year.
Was definitely a lot different than what he's like this. But I can't. Annoying. So. Well. I feel like.
Did you see anything weird on your way here? It came from below the ground. For many years, we were burying the bones
Be quiet.
wrong.
I'm trying to read your fucking dialogue. You resemble an adventurer rather than a doctor. Who are you? I am Maria, daughter to Victor Kane. My father rules this town. My mother has built it. Nice to meet you. I saw you in a dream. Don't flatter yourself. My desires have nothing to do with that. Because I'm a lesbian. I simply saw you take us all by the throat. Cruel words, but also honest. What's so bad about it anyway? The strong manipulate the weak when they want to. Then it is all in my hands.
Why can't I move on my own?
Anyways, now listen closely. The time for collusion, secrets, and alliances has come. I am going to ask something of you. I am not used to that. I am used to holding the reins, but you are not harnessed, so it would be unacceptable to address you in this manner. I find solace in the fact that my request will be welcome with you. It fits the style of your venture. Yes, you'd better be polite. I don't take kindly to orders. I am a creature of liberty. I apologize if my words come across as mangled and silly. I am truly not used to asking, but the nature of my request demands complete and selfless humility. Just imagine me begging and kneeling, and believe me, I do feel that way. So, when I originally recorded this, I did I did talk about how the "I'd kneel myself before a lady as charming as you" line sounds like Daniil is just like really bad at flirting, but also it sounds like he's just being sarcastic, and I really don't want to choose it because she's a lesbian and she's not interested in me. But I do want to see what happens if you say it, so I am gonna say it. I kneel myself before a lady as charming as you. Oh, she just doesn't. She just does not acknowledge it. Okay, that's pretty funny. Epic Daniil heterosexuality moments. Anyways, today's death was the first, but it won't be the last. Simon has opened a score of irreplaceable victims. Soon their number will multiply. I beg you to preserve the lives of several people when the lines of their fortune cross yours. Before any of them dies, there will be a moment when you will be able to intervene. I know that for a fact. How? I had a vision. I'm clairvoyant. I will become the nocturnal queen soon, just like my beloved sorceress mother used to be. Dreams lie. They do to you, Bachelor, but not to me. Or can you confidently promise me that the people I'm going to name to you will stay alive for the next 2 weeks? Of course I can. I'm not that good at separating the interweaving lines of life, but my intuition is superb. Stay alert, Bachelor. Watch the condemned extend their hands toward you, begging for your help. Will you deny it to them? They are essential for your victory. Everything happens. That doesn't matter. What was destined to happen will happen. You can be whatever you want to be, but not a coward choosing to hear no evil and run away from reality. I will give you a list of those I know of. These people are bound to you. What in the world is going on here? Are you trying to flirt with me? Ah, yes. You haven't been told, have you? It didn't even cross my mind that someone may be unaware of my abilities. No one here dares doubt them, for they are evident. Yes, the mistress of every ruling house possesses special abilities. I am learning to see the future and transform the present. Forgive me, but I don't believe in this type of phenomenons. Will you comply with my request? Will you save the lives of the people I named to you? Answer me, before going back to Ava. Eva. It might be Eva. How do you know that Eva had asked me to come back? I know Eva. She wants to safeguard you from my nocturnal intrigues, doesn't she? She strives to touch the mysteries of our family, to learn the game we're playing. Well, talk to her. Perhaps you two will manage to uncover some bits and pieces of the Kane's dark conspiracy against humanity. But you haven't yet given me an answer. What will it be? I will do as you ask, Maria. My honor bids me to. And you'd better be off not giving me cheek. And you'd be better off not giving me cheek. You won't like me when I'm angry. I forgot you said. Okay, so those are the list of my bounds.
It came from below the ground. For many years, we were burying the bones.
I guess I'll ask her this. And what exactly did you see in that dream of yours, the one that had to do with me? A truly terrifying battle is ahead of you. If no one has ever told you about your fate, I will be the first. You must know that I admire you in advance, regardless of the outcome. You will fight a foe that few can defeat. Is this a prophecy? You will clash with your foe like a dragon slayer, but your weapon will turn against you. Striking at the heart, you will end up with your own flesh torn. Every drop of blood you squeeze out of that heart will turn into a gulp of yours. If your foe escapes you, penetrates you, or saddles you, okay, you will hear malicious laughter in your ears, and my crestfallen weeping. So it's about the murderer. Well, I will make them regret your tears, whoever they are. Anyways, cool. Oh, also, I like this line. About love. And he's like, I'm not a great talker right now, especially on this. Because he's... Okay, well, I guess now I'm talking to these guys. I don't remember them being here, but they sure are. Cool. The town is rather small and rather unexceptional, isn't it? But there are all kinds of people here, the simple folk and the more remarkable ones. The former will tell you more than they know. The latter know way more than they're ever going to let out. Keep a close eye on them. Your victory depends on it. And who are these remarkable people? There are 20-something of them, easily distinguished by their lodgings or their presence. They're called many names: the bound, the fated, the adherents, the gobos, taglor, the town circle. Simon preferred their company to any other. Why? Because it is they that will decide the fate of this town. Don't be distracted by the fact that some of them look insignificant or disreputable. They will earn their worth. You just give them time. They're the most important joints of the town. Why are you telling me all this? Each day, one of them will try death by the tooth. Each will put their life at risk. and each one that dies is important. Some of them may take the keys to victory to the grave. Never mind that the keys are yours while the grave is theirs. Others will do the opposite. Don't waste your chance to condemn someone who may get in your way. How do you know what is helpful and what gets in the way? Okay, alright, dropping you more hints would be cheating. Shutting up now. Allow me to conclude then. Each bound you save will influence the finale of your adventure. Each of them has their own goals and motives. It may just so happen that those who seek a different ending survive. And then, well, you've been warned. Okay, I'll take that into account. Tutorial executor. There is something in particular we feel the urge to warn you about. When you speak to the bound, please choose your words carefully. Do not worry. You will easily make out what kind of person is standing before you, an observant man that you are. So use that skill when dealing with the bound. Some of them are indeed worth insulting, whereas others need to be treated with the utmost respect. He's talking about Anna Angel. I have no idea what you're talking about. Every line you utter will have consequences. News spreads rapidly around here. If you spoil your reputation in one place, you'll have to reap what you have sown in another. Restore your good name in the south, and you'll receive a warmer welcome in the north. They will heed every word you say, and you'll be rewarded. Not by means of money, I hope. A handful of money. It's not a dialogue fee, don't get me wrong. Never refuse to take small sums of money from the bound. That would not belittle you in any fashion, but would rather demonstrate that you appreciate the local customs. How so? It's a symbolic Godspeed. The heftier the sum, the better your luck is supposed to become. So conversations get more profitable as your reputation goes. Bye. Eva. I think it might be Eva, which is interesting because when I say Eva, but so here's Eva's house, Eva, if you will.
I've seen.
Say to me. Talk to people. Just. And I'm Wow, I just made such a noise while drinking water. Oh, how ferocious Mother Nature is, for 'tis her wrath that has to be withstood. Oh, friend, if only I could wet my whistle, I'd gladly give you anything on earth in exchange for a gulp of chilly spring water. Why don't you drink from the river, then? Only lowly animals, dirty of image, drink from the water. Us proud men deserve to drink spring water. 'Tis brought here in barrels, but they're often empty. I get it from there, but I'm out of bottles. I drink straight out of a fountain, but I'm gonna faint. The air here is too spicy. I'm barely walking as it is. You are a lowly animal, dirty of image too. Drink from the river. um, so Daniil just has the option to just say that to someone, which is deeply funny. But what I'm gonna do is actually ask him about the local herbs. They're not blooming, Professor, they're withering and thence producing a general languor. Languor? People fall dead without sleep like leaves from a branch, all because of the surplus of juices. Or maybe not. I'm not really a science guy. Why don't you shut up then? End this conversation. So all of the prices are really cheap right now. So I'm gonna buy because the prices are cheap.
What?
See the future. They are far less impressive than their mothers for now, of course. Maria is probably the best. It's good to see children continuing the life work of their parents. Why are you frowning? I'm just in a melancholic mood. We are way too used to playing the game of tragic predictions. I'm trying to arrange everything back to order. I'd be happy to help it if I can.
They say Ripper was caught.
They say Ripper
Does
was
he really
caught.
cut people?
Yes, he does. I know you're a doctor, a wonderful one at that, a celebrity medic. Everyone in our small town knew that a famous doctor was coming here. I'm very glad you have because I want you to do a certain good thing. Can I ask a favor of you? Please do. A few years ago, the child death rate went through the roof here. 6 people died in a week. 10 or so came down with serious illnesses. It made us worried, but unfortunately, we couldn't find the cause straight away back then. In the end, it turned out that children were dying because of a game. What in the world? What kind of a game kills children? They were playing, what did they call it? Well, it was some kind of medical game. They were stealing medicine from the adults and making some diabolical mixture out of it. Then they healed each other with it. Back then, the game just faded into obscurity, but now I've heard they were contemplating doing it again. Someone has already been poisoned. Uh, but what can I do? I'm no poisoning specialist. I can do an examination, of course, but no, it's much simpler. There is a house somewhere in the town, either abandoned or just unoccupied. That's where they play hospital. That's where they store their horrible mixtures. Please use your standing and your celebrity name to put an end to this game. Capella, Aglimski's daughter, believes that the house will be unlocked today. I'll do my best, of course. How can I find the house? Capella mentioned it's next to one of the ruins. My friend couldn't hear them properly, but have you seen those stone stairways to heaven? I think you might be able to see one from the house. I think you might. Jesus Christ, I can't read. I think you might even be able to see the house you're looking for from Eva Yan's window. But most importantly, it should be unlocked. Do people around here ever leave their doors unlocked? In exceptional cases or emergencies, yes, we do. But generally, houses are supposed to be locked up because they're occupied by several families. People aren't that scared of losing their own belongings, but they care about their neighbors. And now that everyone's so afraid of the man-eater, of course everything's locked. In that case, it won't be too hard to find. I'm not going to talk to Yulia because later there's a part in a quest that makes me talk to Yulia. It's a little. He knew his lines all right. Like I said, it makes sense. Whoever killed Simon took Isidore's life too, and this is merely the beginning. Only the beginning? What makes you so sure? See, this murderous deal is all mysterious. There is a talon stuck in the victim. There's a mistake then. Gotta keep looking. Come on, fellas, let's find the bitch. Haven't combed by the which is
death can be looked at without winking. The rabble is completely out of control. They must have been bottling up their lowly instincts for quite some time. outcome was to be expected, I'm afraid. Simon was doomed.
Murdered by his son, I would even consider the crime to be politically motivated. Isidore was preparing to take over the kin and become its leader, at least according to the information I have. What is the kin? The steppe people who work in the abattoir, many of the factory workmen. An ignorant, oh god, here's the racism, everyone. An ignorant patriarchal, I don't know, that's how you pronounce that, right? An ignorant patriarchal pile that hasn't changed much since the Stone Age. They look human enough, but if you look closer, they're just beasts. Believe me when I'm telling you that I am not snobbish in the slightest, but there's a good reason to call them that. Wow, and then as Daniil you can be fucking racist, but I'm not going to. I see. I don't think you're aware of the fact that Isidore came to me last night, just after he had returned, and warned me that there were some ominous events ahead of us. I took that as an unofficial warning about his upcoming takeover. So you took measures? Erm. Evidently. I've mobilized the patrols. I see what you're implying, Bachelor, but I'm not insane. Engineering Isidore's murder. As a matter of fact, a strong, independent kin under Isidore's rule would have been way more useful to me. Really? Why? Because that would weaken the power of the Honorable Vladislav Volglimsky, who's pocketed the economy of the whole town. He'd rather see the kin as a dumb and speechless herd. And come to think of it, well, I'm sure you understand where I'm going with this. This is precisely what Georgie warned me about.
No, I can't stand it much longer. No, I can't. The rabble is completely out of control. This Haruspex is trying to prove
I was
his
actually
innocence.
invited by Isidore,
It's
so
a
I came to meet
no-go.
with him first and foremost. But now it turns out that he's been murdered. Yes, looks like the murderer is always one step ahead of you, doesn't it? The same one that took Simon's life too. At least that's the conclusion suggested by the information. His father had sent him to study surgery when he was but a greenhorn. Quite a lot he has learnt, huh? A wandering scholar turned evil to the bone. Me. All of that just to grab the inheritance. So what actually I'm gonna say, wait, how did you figure that out? In all honesty, it's hard to explain that to an outsider like you. Do you believe in such a thing as clairvoyance, Bachelor? Um, I'll humor him. Of course I do. Well, you should get to know my wife then, or better yet, those who have already had opportunities to witness the power of her prophecies. Former doubters first and foremost, rationalists. She's got something to say to you too, by the way. So your wife called out Isidore's son specifically? Not specifically, no, but it all adds up, and the circumstances of Simon's death make you wonder too. Isidore's son arrived here last night. The timing speaks against him. It even matches the time it takes to get from the Crucible to Isidore's house, which is 7,000 hours. That's not enough. I'll have to take the investigation into my own hands. Is there anyone who can be of help to me apart from your wife? Actually, I'm just gonna say what about the motive? He's the type that needs no motives. Students these days know nothing of virtue and ethics, and a medic too. Humans are just hairless animals to them, or even a harmful virus infesting the environment. Cynical bastards. Oh, but I do apologize. Didn't mean to offend you, even by extension. And I'm gonna stand up for Bjork, because I'm in love with him. I see you like generalizations. I wouldn't be so quick to accuse the junior Bjork. So you'll keep looking for Isidore's murderer. I will. Is there anyone that can help me with that? There are very few good analysis in our town. Everyone is more or less superstitious here, except for one Yulia Lorek, whatever. Perhaps a most level-headed and reasonable person. She is the only person to remain skeptical about Katerina's talents, too. Without a shadow of doubt, she has her own picture of events. She always does. I'm gonna say exactly the person I need, because I need to know.
No, I can't. The rabble is...
Ooh. I go talk to you.
It's true. The girl has proven that she's a saint.
I'm so sorry. I literally have to mock them every single time. It's gonna make this take so long. Also, look at her portrait. Look at those fucking cheekbones. Anyways, the only proper way for a duel to end is with the death of one of the fighters. That's what battles are supposed to be. Any conflict that has two sides inevitably turns into a battle of good and evil. Why are you telling me this? I'm not speaking metaphorically or metaphysically. I'm talking about a very particular battle. You are one of the combatants, Bachelor Dankovsky. Do you favor good or evil? I favor winning. Spoken like a true warrior. I truly wish you victory, Bachelor, even though I doubt there can be a victory at all in this battle. Thank you.
Wow.
You are a brave man, Bachelor Dankovsky. Why? This fight, it is very unlikely to end in your favor. Does a clay and bone man-eater leave traces of the kind you've witnessed? It's only a spell, an illusion. They just prefer to see it this way. It makes it easier for them. So you know the details of my fight in advance. If you don't point at the killer by nightfall, then the killer will strike you down as well. You simply won't be able to recognize them. You won't notice them crawling up to you. Somehow you'll be very surprised upon seeing their face, and that will leave you paralyzed. Don't mind me while I also take screenshots sometimes, because I'm obsessed with this game and I am obsessed with taking screenshots all the time of lines I like. How do you know all this? I'm clairvoyant. What is the nature of your visions? This should not be your primary concern.
Simon, to tame his impertinence,
Okay.
Earth had disgorged a monster
Here's the
from deep
problem.
within its bowels.
I might turn off. I don't know, because they have these little quotes that they say when you talk to them, but it's really annoying because I just want to start reading what they're saying, but I hate talking over them. So I might turn down the voices, because I think you can do that separately. But some of the voice lines are really funny. So I don't know. I'm kind of weigh in on this one, Katie. Tell me what you think. It doesn't really matter. I think I can just talk over them louder, but I am a distractible person, so it's kind of hard. Anyways, do you also think that Simon Kane's death was unnatural? Oh, not at all. How could someone who had absorbed all of our blood not die? A single man cannot handle that. There are limits to a living being's vitality, and there are limits to the world's patience. So his death was inevitable? Inevitable? God damn it, that's how I always mispronounce it.
Oh,
Go talk to you. then I'm probably gonna end this. It's like
This girl is a changeling. She's not the murderer.
so. Yulia has some shit to say. She also, and she's also lesbian. Okay. I seem to have lost. What do I want? I seem to have lost any capacity for observation. My mind is out of tune. Things no longer add up. Before, I had no trouble forming a trustworthy tessellation out of the most imperceptible contingencies. Now, I simply cannot get my head around it. Could it be that I am dying? The steppe air is way too thick. I think that's what causes it. Oh no, Herba twiverani, whatever, is in blossom, I grant you, but then it blooms every year. Every year the steppe is filled with its stupefying vapors. The issue I am having, however, has nothing to do with fatigue or perplexity. It's just that I've lost my ability to make distinctive events coincide. Everyone has that ability. You don't seem to understand what I'm saying. Let me elucidate. A single word someone utters may precipitate the birth of their own murderer. This line of philosophizing is barely an intellectual novelty, and it is particularly relevant in our neck of the woods. I sometimes feel like I could touch the notions of cause and effect with the tips of my fingers. But now, I am being tedious, I reckon. I'm sorry to say, but yes, you are a bit tedious. I'm not going to say that. Not at all.
It's so lonely here.
He can be such a bitch sometimes. I love it. So you have traveled all the way here, only to find that. So what's funny about this line? Wait, let me read it first. So you have traveled all the way here, only to find that both the people you wanted to see were brutally murdered. Is this how the story goes? I do hope that your visit is not in any way related to these most unfortunate circumstances. The funny part about that is that she just says that to you even if you haven't gone to Isidore's house yet, and like even if you don't know that he's dead. So that she's kind of like, spoiler alert, he's also dead. And you're like, and you have the same option, so it's kind of just like a game breaking thing, but it's funny. Anyways, also she can say this very heavy thing, and I can just say, "Do you like Eva?" Because I'm like, I want to gossip. Do you like Eva? I'm not going to. I have to find whoever it is that killed Isidore and Simon, and I wanted to ask for your help. Saparov told me you have a gift for all manner of investigative inquiry. I am certainly no better investigator than you. I have never had a chance to search for a murderer before. The best I can offer is to fill in the blanks with whatever mysterious supernatural entities seem most fitting. Shabnak Adir is the simple man's scarecrow. I would have followed a different narrative. What's that word? The one you just said. Shabnak Adir, you mean? The steppe demonology describes it as a kind of golem, belched up by the earth to punish all manner of delinquency. It is shaped as a young woman, but made of clay and exhumed bone matter. An unnerving concept, is it not? Oh, good boy. good lord, do I have to say this? I do have to say this. I've always suspected that primitive worldviews still exist in the remote corners of our country, but I couldn't imagine they would be so active. Not necessarily the worst thing to say, but, you know, Daniil, I knew you would be exasperated by this discussion. Sacrifices, bovine tails, handfuls of milk teeth in a glass beaker. You may forgive this to children and steppe people, yet having the same notions reiterated by someone surrounded by books on natural history, this must be quite vexing. How would you explain this? The answer is bound to irritate you even more. The tales are true. Bah! Bah! You are joking, of course. I do hyperbolize a little. It is beyond debate that the Shabnaka deer exists. What is dubious, though, is that bovine tails and milk teeth offer genuine protection from her, which is to say, sympathetic contrivances like this may be of some use to children and people from the steppe, but are explicitly inefficacious. She says so many big words, like god damn it. For someone like you and me, we are too literate, too deprived of the scripture codified in ancient soil. So, am I supposed to write off a bad harvest as a sign that the steppe spirits are angry now? We have no choice but to acknowledge the rules enforced by the steppe. We try to ignore these rules, to place ourselves into the framework of advanced modernity. Modernity? To no avail. You can call these demons what you want. You may refer to the hare eater as time, if this will make you any happier. I am comfortable with a more juvenile vernacular. It is what I am used to. I will find a rational explanation for the crimes of this man-eater by the evening, if you will help me, of course. In this case, I would suggest that Simon was poisoned. By the Cains, I would have thought, but I know their family all too well. Their mutual loyalty is only rivaled by their arrogance towards anyone who is not one of them. They hold the princely sage who stands at the head of their family in highest esteem. They believe that a single dishonorable act will tarnish their name for generations to come. I doubt any of them would have stooped to this, no matter whether they wanted to or not. Poisoned. How did you arrive at this conclusion? I don't believe you understand what he died in focus really implies. Do you know what the Cains refer to as focus? You don't seem to grasp the semantics of the term. These are the Cains for you. These kind of innuendos are their forte. Yeah, I got distracted by her scary eyes. Well, what is this focus then? The focus is anything but an abstraction, quite the opposite. In fact, it is governed by mathematically rigid regularities. You see, no one but the owner of a focus may get inside. This can only mean that Simon had brought the killer with him, or rather, within him, since no physical object may be brought into the focus either. How do you know that? Who doesn't? The Cains are notoriously passionate about a whole manner of synthetic anomalies. They will never pass up an opportunity to devise a Kunststück. I don't know what the fuck, okay, that would allow them to warp space, challenge physics, or manipulate optics. Metaphysically, a focus can be compared to a camera obscura. Do note that the name is not unfitting. No, it is entirely impossible for someone to get inside. A curious conclusion, but an incorrect one. Simon was disfigured and bleeding. His bones were broken. Is that so? Well, this does introduce a different perspective. Did you say Isidore was the last person to see Simon? The question is, who did he see before? The sun had not yet set when Isidore returned from the steppe. However, he came to Simon well after midnight. The question naturally arises, where did he spend the missing few hours? How do you know all that? I think you still fail to grasp the entirety of your predicament. The rumors spread like wildfire here. One of the children saw Isidore come home. They were waiting by the entrance, eager to hear a steppe story or two. So the prosecution of Isidore's son is based off a testimony of a child? That is what Saburov claims. Was Isidore seen with Saburov by any chance? He was. He warned Saburov of an upcoming storm. Alright, let me suggest then, that while he was in the steppe, he saw or learned something that he wanted to report to all three ruling families. In this case, either the Oglimsky family should have been on his itinerary. Either of the Oglimsky family should have been on his itinerary, especially since Burok was one of their own men. Really? Definitely. The bull project from the abattoir to the railway is controlled by the Oglimsky family. If Isidore's family had anything to do with the kin, Isidore would have certainly relayed it to Vlad. So do make sure to pay a visit to the lump. That's the name of the Oglimsky mansion. Another fitting name, wouldn't you agree? Thank you, Yulia. What would I do without you? So I think this is where, when I first played this, I got to Julia, and like, oh my god, this is incomprehensible. I don't know what the fuck.
I'm afraid it's natural. Simon was doomed.
It was so insane. Like, now I get what's going on, but like, it definitely was a mess. So now I can ask her other things. I doubt I can do it on my own. Tell me plain and simple. What do you make of all this? So I have heard, a wisecrack. I know that while you are trying to complete the portrait of the killer is busy painting yours. Hilarious, is it not? A hunter becomes a hunted. However, to put it bluntly, you have become the keynote of this particular plot. The intrigue is so rich it will keep you busy for a week, if not longer than that. What would you do if you were me? If you want my advice, I wouldn't trust what our feudals tell you. The perpetual triangle of influence means that every party concerned will do their best to use your authority to their own benefit. I'm not that conceited. Perhaps people of lower standing would not try to use me? It is more likely that people of such standing will be much too scared to cooperate. Given your position, you may want to try your luck with the shadow cabinet of local nobility, the women of influence. They know much more than the simple townsfolk, yet they care much less than the families in power. My position? You come from the capital, and your arrival hardly qualifies as a coincidence. Then there is this trepidation Maria seems to have towards you. She who excels in dark arts and scornful mockery. Her interest has furnished you with a certain elusive notoriety. That I spelled that wrong. I probably said that wrong, but I don't even know. Some people thought you were nothing more than Maria's private incubus, a fruit of her imagination, and then here you are in the flesh. Alright then. Who are these influential ladies? Laura, Eva, yours truly, and last but not least, Maria. I wouldn't listen to Katerina if I were you. Her morphine habit has turned her into a walking corpse. The others, however, are liable to deceive. You don't like being lied to, do you? This is a great line. I can't stand it. It is better to die than to lie. I see. Perhaps you like being played with then? A wild thing to say to me. Even less so. In this case, Maria seems to be your best bet. She is too arrogant to lie and too respectful to dare play with you. You should value the affection of someone this proud. But I digress. That's kind of gay. But I digress. What is your intended course of action? I need to think, if you please. I will ask more questions if something crosses my mind, especially since you are one of the lady aristocrats. I just heard a little page tourney, which is cute.
I'm afraid I'm a little loose now.
Tell me about Laura. I don't want to talk about Laura. It's complicated. They say she is an angel, an epitome of benevolence and compassion. She sees everyone as a friend. She is too eager to help, too happy to oblige. After her father died, she turned the Revel Mansion into the most hospitable and heartwarming place in town. Long story short, Laura is believed to be the kindest woman of us all. However, that's not true. She is a woman devastated by grief. All of the gifts that she is happy to give away are, fundamentally, offerings to a dead person. She favors the living with something the dead have no use for. Really? Her philanthropy is almost reprehensible, which is like a wild outlook. Like, it's still philanthropy. But yeah, anyways. She pities everyone she comes across, for she knows they will all die just like her dearly departed. She sees a corpse in everything she looks upon. I can't say I appreciate it, but she'll be great help to you, blah blah blah.
I'm afraid it's natural.
I haven't met anyone who is helping me. Do you have any relevant experience? Do you know a murderer may be found? Not really, but I hunt the killer of all killers in my laboratory. An incredible line. He's so dramatic. And then she's talking about Anna Angel. It's possible the killer is hiding in the house of Anna Angel, a thespian of sorts. Now here is another woman worthy of attention. In fact, I heard some ghastly man covered in blood was seen entering your house today. How do you know this? This town's a small fucking place, Bachelor. The wind carries rumors with falling leaves, mixing birds' feathers with emotions. What are you talking about? We all know one another so well here that we are sometimes able to hear each other's thoughts, a family trait, if you will. But that being said, I doubt that the man in Anna's house is the real killer. Where does Anna live? She lives in a mansion that once belonged to a family of exiles whose political views led them to a far-out town like ours. Because of some ill-conceived sense of camaraderie, they were happy to give shelter to a runaway actress. As soon as she told them she was persecuted by the powers that be. A few years later, they died, suspiciously, if you ask me, leaving Willow Mellow, their daughter, in the care of their companion. Willow died soon thereafter. Mysteriously? What do you mean? They all died of natural causes, allegedly, even though Willow was buried in a tightly closed coffin. The body was examined by Isidore Burak, and he is not a man who would cover up a crime. Anyway, haha, he's not a man who would cover up a crime? Okay, Yulia. Anyway, you would do good to take a look at the house yourself. The mansion is known as the Willows. It stands by the gullet in the earth. Well, I'll get to know her.
It's so lonely here.
Tell me about Eva. Here's gay time. Do you like Eva Jan? Very much. It wouldn't be much of a stretch to say I absolutely admire her. Weird, I expected you to have a different opinion of her. She dons the mask of absent-minded promiscuity. But this pose has nothing to do with what she really is. I'd be happy to be friends with her, but she does not understand me, and rightfully so, considering her eminence. I can't believe my ears. Sooner or later, a fervent believer may emerge from within her, dissolving her completely in the object of her adoration, after which she will probably kill herself, but I'd rather talk no more of that. Okay, Yulia, kind of a downer for the last topic of conversation, because Eva is my friend. Little girl. Excuse me while I get hyped whenever I see one of these specific little girls. I don't even think I have anything to trade for it. I'm tired of reading things. So this was part 2, and I will see you in the next part. God, I looked up in the corner. I was like, what if it hadn't been recording? It has been recording. Fine. Okay. Goodbye. Thank you for watching, or listening, or whatever the fuck. Goodbye.